Hello guys and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm here with Spice and Wolf episode number 19 reaction. Okay, the previous episode Lawrence had gone to Diane and I think her name was Diana or was it Diana? I cannot remember. Went to her and wanted to buy pyrite, but turns out someone else came there and bought pyrite from her. So Lawrence now is like, obviously he needs that pyrite for his plan to go properly. So he's like, oh, I need that pyrite. I'm ready to pay any amount, I'm ready to negotiate. So, can you please help out? In the end, she was like, fine, I'll have a conversation with them. And then next day in this designated place, I'll meet you and then I will give you the pyrite. And so that's the plan. Now, at first, I thought it was maybe Amati who went to her and brought the pyrite. But then I realized in no way is Bartos letting Amati go and do transaction with her. Because thinking about it, Bartos, like anyone that Bartos finds interesting is the one who he gives the password to, and after giving that password to Diane, Diane deems them worthy. That's what happens. In no way do I think Bartos would find Amati interesting or worthy of giving the password. So I don't think it was Amati. So let's see what happens with that. And then in the end, like then Lawrence went and had a conversation with his friends. Then a few other things happened. In the morning, they are in the marketplace. Amati and Lawrence does the whole credit transaction that they had planned, and Hollow's also there. So then the bell rings and the day begins. So I'm assuming today everything will go down. Let's see what happens in this episode. Let us begin. I'll be putting the subtitles and the timer here. Sync it to whichever is your preference, and let's get started. Okay, here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, as you can see, left side nobody's selling. Diana, not Diane. Okay. Yeah, that is true. Price will keep going up. So he needs to deal the final blow. Hmm. Wow. Okay. Hmm. Oh, great. It's increasing more and more. God's unseen hand and Wolf's unseen heart. Wow. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Damn. He's quick. Yeah. Poison from the sale on credit. Yeah. Yeah, that's. Yo. Okay. No, I don't think so. In no way. Yeah, but that's. No, that's not the point. Yeah. Mm. Right. Oh, it's looking for a hollow, I think. Oh, someone sold. No, no, no. Yeah, well, wait, oh no. Oh, it just went back. Bro. Is this the. No. Okay, I thought it was the informer. Like Diana's. Wanting to buy wheat with stones. 250. Okay. Okay. Who is selling? Oh, wait, is it 500 coins worth of fire? Tomorrow evening. Wait, so to sell the content at the pricing raise. Not if it's dropping. Okay. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. With the contract, we'll go. Yeah. Wow. And that's why he said, like, it's the poison. Okay, I see. That makes sense. Because if it goes down, the contract is like, yeah. As you said, it'll be paper, basically paper. Oh, huge. Oh my god, it's going to increase even more now. Hey, damn. The price dropped. Oh no, it's not going to work. Oh my god, it's going to bounce back up. Oh no. Yeah, then it. But he doesn't have that still. Okay, more nice. Okay, a little bit more, and he like this won't work. It's gonna bounce back up again. Yeah, if he had all of them at the same time. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say. He's like, I have to sell it, otherwise there's nothing I can do. Yeah, if someone buys it now, oh no, it's gonna go back up again. Oh lord, then this is not. It's like a flow, like as soon as a buyer comes in, since it's gonna increase, oh great. Yeah, oh god, now this he'll have to wait. There's nothing you can do. So yeah, he said He's like, where's Diana? He needs to crash the market before he can cash in. Oh, is this. What the? What? This is a little kid. Oh no. I was thinking of this as well. Like, it's not guaranteed that he'll get it. Okay, now what? Like, I think like Hollow's planning something, but I genuinely don't know where to go from here. How can we turn this around unless and until. Like, oh god. What? Like, I'm also trying to think what to do here. Like, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. Wishful thinkers. Okay, you know what? Just sell the remaining. Like, what else can you do here? Or maybe something else. I don't know. Let's see. That, like I was saying, so you can just you have to all you can do now is just sell it. Hmm. Wow. Oh, she's signaling something. I just realized she did the same thing before. Once I sell the part, spread the rumor. Okay. Yeah, like. Oh, I see. I just realized something. I'm not 100% sure, but she's she's signaling she wants Lawrence to sell. I think Hollow. Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's what she was signaling. Oh, I didn't catch that. Like I said, they need to wait for the appropriate moment to make it crash. They cannot do it gradually. They have to sell it at the same time. There you go. It went so low that people are now getting scared. They're like, oh no, now they're selling. It's a chain reaction. Amati's lost everything. It's the contract is just paper now. And once it starts rolling, the snowball effect is going to go and it's going to end everything. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. it's like, bruh. What? Yeah. Hmm. Well, yeah, I guess. Sure. Yeah, he understands now. I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, that makes because okay, yeah. Like I understood that she was the one who bought it in the end, but like that's why she signaled. Mm. Yeah, and she signaled so that he could. Yeah, but he didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah, okay, that I understood. And also to make Amati overly confident. What? Hmm. Yeah, that wasn't. No, no, that wasn't that. Yeah, she apologized for her. Um, no, but like, hmm, as he said, he needs a guidepost, like someone to drag him down and make him look at the world in not a business perspective. Yeah. Mm, damn. Okay, I was gonna say, where did she get the like? How I that's why I never thought about it. I thought, how did she get it? Like she don't have any money. I was able to figure out your plan from what the what? Under location. Event of... Wait, what? Oh, she was still there at that time. That's why Diana. That's why she here this part she kind of hesitated and said something like, "Oh, like good luck." There you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. This this part. That. Yeah. Okay. That. What? She's a bird? What? Bigger than you? Wait. And spent many years creating a church with him. Oh. Okay. And that's why she told Diana to say that, oh, it's still there. Tell Lawrence that it's still there. Because, she herself was. But she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Hmm. Yeah. Oh my god. In the middle of the street. I think that was some kind of symbolism that went over my head. That definitely was some kind of symbolism that completely went over my head. Okay, there you go. Damn, that was a big arc. I think this arc started like in like the quite a while ago, like 3 or 4 episodes ago. Right. So okay, that makes sense. Like what I didn't really think about Hollow being the buyer only for one reason. I didn't understand how can she buy something. I don't think she had that money because Lawrence himself was struggling to buy it. So and she still didn't answer the question, did she? How did she get the pyrite from Diana? What did she pay her with? I don't think she had the money to pay. Like Lawrence asked that question, but she didn't really answer it. She said that, oh, you remember, you see, like she was not a human, but that doesn't answer the question. How did she get the pyrite? Like, what did she offer? Where did she have the money to pay for it? I don't know. No, wait a minute. Yeah, like, no, I don't understand. How did okay, you know what? Let's wait. Okay, that is it. Like I said, I'm not really 100% sure how she got it, like how she was able to get the pyrite. Like, that is the reason why I never even thought that Hollow could be the one to get the pyrite, because in my head I was trying to think of people who had money to get the pyrite, and that's why Amati was there. But I was like, in no way is Batos or Diana selling something to Amati, because Amati doesn't seem like that type of person that would intrigue them, you know. So, and that was it. You know, I probably would have thought about Hollow if Hollow had like a good amount of money with her and she could pay for the pyrite. But she didn't have that, so I never thought about it until the very end, where she was signaling, and I was like, oh, so that's a signal, so that Hollow sells, so that Lawrence, so that Lawrence can sell, so that Hollow can also sell at the same time. That's when I realized. But I'm still not sure how she paid for it, because that was definitely not Amati's pyrite. That was Hollow, the pyrite that Hollow bought from Diana. How did she buy it? Did they mention it here? Did I miss it? I don't think I missed it. You know what? In the discussion section, if I've missed it, I'll probably find it out over there. But let's talk about the episode as a whole for now. As a whole, this was the ending to this arc, and that was done really well. Yeah, at the end, you could see like this was like Hollow's plan to. So basically, one thing I think, which as far as I could understand, and which we need to understand, is since this is like like they're buying and selling, Lawrence needs to sell all at the same time. That's what he needs to do. If he sells all at the same time, the price will drop so much that people will get scared. They'll start selling, it'll drop even more. That is the main plan. That is why Lawrence couldn't sell like little amounts. If he sells like a little amount, then more people will buy, and they will be like, oh, like yeah, it's just going to bounce back up. And this is what I think, like his friend, Lawrence's friend, said, that you cannot sell at small amount in this situation, because just think about it. The price is extremely high. There's a lot of people who wants to buy, but they won't be able to buy because it's so high. So if you sell a little amount and the price goes a little bit low, those people who want to buy it, but since it's so high that they cannot buy, they'll be like, oh, it went down a little bit, let me buy it. They're going to do that. And the people who has a lot amounts of pyrite with them, they would be unbothered, because the drop in sales won't be enough to make them flinch or get scared. That's why they'll be okay with it. So the net result will be only people who would buy. So if you sell like as for example, as you can see, he had to sell like 1,000 coins worth of pyrite at the same time. That was like the main goal. But he sold a little bit at the beginning, because he was like, yeah, I cannot wait for it to go even higher. So he sold it. The price dropped a little bit, but it wasn't that much of a dip, so that people start getting scared and start selling their thing. So no people sold at that point. People who were waiting for the price to drop a little bit to buy more, they started buying. And as soon as that happened, the price bounced back up again, and it was just all over. It was literally nothing. Like, nothing, no significant result. So what Lawrence needed to do at that time was wait for the whole thing to come and then sell all at the same time. Because he didn't do that, or because obviously Diana's representative never came, he didn't have that amount. And he also has to keep in mind that if the price keeps increasing, if it reaches a certain point where Amati will be able to sell his stuff and get the 1,000 coins worth, then he'll win. So it's a very tricky situation. He cannot let the price go up so high that it is able to make Amati cash in and win the whole bet. he cannot let that happen. At the same time, he needs to wait to get a significant amount so that he can make the market crash. So it's, like, he cannot go either way. It's a troublesome situation. Like, he cannot just keep waiting and let the price keep increasing, because that will make Amati win. And he also has to wait for the pyrite to come in so that he can sell all at the same time. But that is why he had to sell back then. Prematurely he had to sell, otherwise the price was increasing so much that Amati would have reached his goal. And that's why he did that. But then again, since he wasn't able to sell everything at the same time, the price bounced back up again. It was worthless by the end of it. So it was a very tricky situation. And yeah, that's what happened. And this is where Hollow comes in. Hollow, like, signaled at the first time. He kind of looked at him, signaled, went. I didn't understand what the hell that was. Neither did Lawrence. Lawrence didn't understand, because obviously he's thinking like Hollow's helping out Amati or something like that. And then when Hollow was selling a little bit, Lawrence thought that she's doing that deliberately to egg Lawrence on and make him slip up. He didn't realize that Hollow is doing that as a signal so that if Lawrence sells at the same time, then they can make the market crash. And that was what that signal was. And he didn't realize the indication that what it was. That's what was going on. So he just, like, it didn't register in him, and he didn't realize that. He thought like, oh, this is like a plan that they're doing, because if Amati sells, that will make Lawrence scared, because Lawrence will be like, oh, did he reach his goal? Is that why he's selling? And he will try to hurry and sell it to make the market crash. And Lawrence thought like Hollow is trying to do that so that he slips up. But obviously that wasn't the intention. He didn't realize that. And the main problem here, as Hollow says, is the fact that Lawrence also decided to like, as I think she says it at the very end. She said that it is a very good plan, that I have to agree with. But you coming in that situation made the plan even more difficult for me. And so that is why Hollow tried her best to signal Lawrence, so that Lawrence could understand that, oh, she's signaling. That would mean I need to sell now, and Hollow will sell immediately after that. Because again, you have to sell at the same time. You shouldn't sell at a smaller amount, because as soon as you sell small amounts, the snowball effect won't start. People who has a lot amount of pyrite with them, they will not sell, because the dip in price won't be enough for them to get scared. So you need to sell all at the same time, and that was what Hollow was trying to do. Hollow was signaling him for that, and he didn't realize at the beginning. But then in the end, after he almost gave up, and when the kid was like, oh, don't give up, he realized. And then when he looked at Hollow again, it clicked in his head, and he's like, oh, that's what's happening. And he saw the feather, and he realized that was like, the signal. That's why he realized, and he was like, okay. He sold his amount, and immediately Hollow comes just after that and sells her amount as well at the same time. And it also clicked in my head at that time, because that that Hollow is the other buyer from Diana. Because honestly speaking, like I said, I didn't even consider Hollow to be the buyer, because I don't know, I still don't understand, how did she do that? I don't think she has any money to do that. Oh no, but no, scratch that. I was going to say something like, no, never mind. Okay, never mind. No, but I'm genuinely curious. Like, yeah, you know what? Like I said, I'm going to go into the deep scene by scene discussion section, and I'm going to see if I missed anything there, because I don't think they answered that question. Like, how did Hollow get that? And that's why I never considered her to be the buyer, because it never crossed my mind, unless and until the very end, when she was signaling, like blatantly signaling, like anyone would realize that. And that's when I understood, like, oh, I was like, oh, maybe she's the buyer. But I still don't understand how she was able to get the buyer. What did she, like, she doesn't have any money, so how did she get it? Anyways, so, that's what happened, and, that's how it worked after that. And Yeah, and then like I said, it's a snowball effect. When the amount went significantly down, this is a time when people started getting scared, because there's a lot of people who has a lot of pyrite with him. A little dip in the market value wouldn't really bother them, but if it's like a huge dip, then they'll get scared. They'll be like, oh no, what's going to happen if this starts decreasing even more, you know? And if I keep waiting, like, and I lose the opportunity to make a profit out of it, and I go into loss. And as soon as that fear gets implanted in someone's brain, as soon as they see someone selling that amount all at the same time, they'll get scared. And you have to remember, at the end of the day, like I said, someone mentioned this in the comments, pyrite won't be any worth outside here. They have to go back to wheat by the end of it. So they know that if they miss this opportunity, it's over. They'll go completely in a loss, and the amount of money they probably had to buy wheat will also, they'll lose everything. So they literally won't have anything left, not even enough money to buy wheat, which they will have to buy. So that is why as soon as they see that much dip in value, they'll get scared, and they're like, oh my god, let me sell it before this goes even more down. And then one person starts selling, the other person will also be like, oh no, it's going more down, let me sell. And people will start scrambling and start selling everything, and more and more and more the money will go down. Now think about Amati's situation here. Amati obviously can sell it at this time, and he can probably make a profit out of it, but he cannot sell it in this situation because his main goal isn't the profit. His main goal is getting enough money to pay Lawrence. So it's over as soon as the price started going down and didn't go back up. It was over for him. In no way can you salvage this situation, because again, snowball effect, it's never going to go back up again. It's going to go down and even more down. So he's never reaching that 1,000 coins as soon as it started happening. So it's over. By then it's over, and that's why Amati just lost. But obviously, in a business perspective, he didn't really lose. In that sense, he just won't be able to pay Lawrence back. That's it. But he lost on the whole hollow, that whole part. So that is where he lost, and that is why in the end, Lawrence said that in the end he didn't really business wise, profit wise, he didn't really get any loss or anything like that, but he just lost in the whole bet and that whole thing. Right, so yeah, there you go, and mission accomplished. That's that. That's what was what happened, and that was the whole plan. So yeah, that was a good plan. Obviously, it made the people scared, and they started selling everything. So the key point in this whole episode and what they needed to do is sell all at the same time, a significant amount. But since Diana's people never came, Lawrence was hesitating, and also Hollow also couldn't sell from her part because Hollow also realized that if I sell mine only, and if Lawrence doesn't sell, then again it's just going to bounce back up. So Hollow also cannot sell unless and until she understands and realizes, and unless and until Lawrence realizes and understands her plan. So Hollow cannot sell from her part, that's why she was constantly signaling, while Lawrence also cannot sell from his part because Diana's person didn't come, at that time, and he almost gave up. And only then it happened, and only then it worked, when Lawrence realized what Hollow was trying to do, and that Hollow was trying to signal him. And then when it clicked in his head, that is when everything went perfectly. Lawrence sold it, and Hollow sold immediately after that. There you go. And that's when it worked. So it was a tricky situation. That's why Hollow said that you made the situation even more difficult, and even more difficult because you didn't understand what I was trying to do here. And you had no faith in me or something like that. But to be honest, in Lawrence's defense, as Lawrence said, I'm in these type of situations, I don't have enough brain. I'm just a businessman. I might be a little bit slow in these type of things. Understanding this. I genuinely thought that, you are helping Amati out. And but he made himself clear, and he said that I want to travel with you. And that was all that was needed. And yeah, there you go. That is that. And another thing Lawrence said here, which is very important in today's episode, as you can see, when the little kid was like, "Are you going to give up this and that?" And this is where he understands, and he says like, "Since I'm a businessman, I try to see everything to business perspective. Like, oh, if I get this, I will get. If I buy this, I'll get this, and if I can sell this, then I'll get that. In that way, I always try to think of situations in give and take, way." He was looking at this situation in that sense as well. He was thinking like, oh, like I shouldn't sell now because, like I am saying, in a business perspective, if he sold at that time, then the price dip wouldn't be enough and it will just bounce back up. He was thinking of that continuously, and he didn't think of anything else. And when he looked at Hollow, he thought that Hollow's trying to sabotage him or something like that. He was thinking. So in a business perspective, he was looking at this whole thing. And then when the kid was like, "No, don't give up," he stopped and he kind of thought about it, and he was like, yeah, since I always see stuff in a business perspective, I was making this overly complicated. And then he properly looked at Hollow, and then he realized what she's trying to do. So he had to think with his heart then, I guess, in a way, or his faith, his belief in Hollow. That is what he needed to do. Because through a business perspective, yeah, what Lawrence did here was foolish. He sold that, without any proof that Hollow's going to sell immediately. But that's purely through business perspective. He was looking at it in that sense. As soon as he dropped that perspective and he looked at it in a more emotional, or a more, I guess you could say, when he looked at Hollow and when she looked at it more in an emotional sense, that is when he was like, yeah, let me sell it now. And he sold it, and then Hollow also sold it. So, and he says a very beautiful thing here. Where's that part? He talks about like a guidepost or something. Here we go, this part. Here we go, this part. Like I said, as I was saying, he does everything in a business perspective, and that's why he was looking at this in a business perspective as well. Like, if I sell it, this won't happen, this will not go in this way. And that is why he didn't catch on the subtle signals that Hollow was giving him and all that stuff. That's what he says here. Merchant does business by making plans, predictions, and comparing those things against the facts. If I sell this, this will happen. If I buy this, that will happen. It's an important aspect of business, but people can make all the hypotheses they want. That's why you can get lost if you make too many of them. You start thinking that any business you do is full of dangers. Yeah, that is why you need a guidepost. Yeah, that is the one thing that every merchant must have. It is, if it's a trustworthy guidepost, you should have faith in it. Yeah, and this is where he looks at Hollow again. And when he looks at it in a more emotional way, as he said, you need to have faith. No matter how crazy something seems. And then he looks at the feathers again, and you can see Hollow's like signaling. Yeah, once I sell the pirates, spread the rumor I asked you to spread. There you go. And there you go, it worked out perfectly from there onwards. As he said, he was looking at it purely through a business perspective, but he needed to stop, and he needed that guidepost, the guidepost which is Hollow, and have faith, and sometimes do that. Because he's true, if you look at everything in this perspective, then you'll just get scared of doing anything. As he said, you're just scared of doing business by the end of it, if this is how you see. If you try to make hypotheses and make plans and these type of things, oh, if this happens then this will happen, this happens then this will happen, and starts making hypotheses one after the other, that's what's going to happen. So here he was kept making hypotheses like this, and he lost the chance to sell at that proper time. But then when he stopped and looked at it from the renewed perspective and looked at Hollow, he realized that was a signal. And for the first time in this situation, he threw away his hypothesis or his logic out the window, and he decided to go with what his heart said, and his faith said. Went and sold the pirate, even though he knew that there's a huge chance of Hollow not selling and the price going down and then bumping back up again. But he had faith. He had faith that something is going to happen. Hollow's going to do something. So he sold it, and immediately Hollow came in and sold it. So there you go. The price went so much down that people started selling more and more, and the snowball effect started. And again, as he said, that he told the kid to spread the rumor as well. So as soon as he sold, like, thinking about the situation is so funny, because just think about it. He sold it, number one. Hollow sold it. It made such a dip in the price that the people who already had a lot of pirate, they started getting a little bit anxious, and they were like, oh no, should I sell it? Otherwise it'll go even more down. And then suddenly some rumor starts flowing that, oh, wheat price will increase. The people who have a lot amount of pirate with them, they, after hearing that rumors, they probably went crazy. Then they're like, oh my god, no, I have to sell immediately, because if I wait and the price goes even more down and wheat price increases even more, I'll be in a huge problem. Like, just think about it. So they'll be getting less amount of money by selling at a loss, and if wheat price increases, they'll have to pay more to buy wheat. So they'll be in a very bad situation. Like, they'll make a huge amount of loss, and like it's crazy. And that's why the rumor worked. If this was some random rumor from a random time, in a random time, it wouldn't have worked, in my opinion. It worked because it was that. The situation was like that. Because they know they'll have to go back to wheat by the end of it. They will have to buy wheat. And they're seeing the pirate for money price dropping more down and more down. And as soon as that rumor started spreading, and they're like, I'm screwed if that is actually what happened. So they started selling. And as soon as one person starts selling, the other person will also start selling. It gets snowballed, and completely the market crash happens. Amati is just left standing, because obviously his goal is not to make a profit, but his goal is to get the amount of money to pay Lawrence. And as soon as the market value started dropping, it's over. He cannot do it. So he lost immediately. Yeah, and there you go. That is what Lawrence understood. And that's what Lawrence tells Hollow in the end as well. As Lawrence said, that when Hollow again asks him that, tell me, give me the answer that I asked. And he said, like, I cannot really say, I don't have a proper word to describe who you are to me, but this I can say, that I want to travel with you. And yeah, and he himself kind of answered his question before. As he said, he called Hollow his guidepost, or someone who, I guess you could say, who makes him himself, I guess, in a way, if you think about it. Right, so that's that. Like, he could just say that, oh, I like you or something, but I think like that would have been too much of a shallow answer for the relation between Hollow and Lawrence. So that wouldn't really do it justice. Like, like I said, he could easily say that, yeah, I like you, I want to, like, travel with you, I want to be with you, or something like that. But again, that would have been too much of a shallow answer. I feel like Hollow and Lawrence's relation is way more than that. And that is why he said that I cannot really explain it properly. There you go. And that was that. Okay, so another thing makes sense now. Diana's like way she was acting. A few sections in the previous episode, she acted a bit weirdly. Number one, when she said in the end, good luck, it makes sense now, because Hollow was there sitting on top. She was listening to everything. That was number one. That was the reason why that happened. Another thing which she said, where Lawrence asked, like, oh, can a pagan god and like like a human get like married or something? And she was like, yeah, that has happened a lot of times. And now we know, like, her situation was also kind of the same. She fell in love with, I think, like a traveling monk. She said yeah. And that is why, like, and later on the monk realized what has happened, who she is, and as they said, that you must know what happened after that. They don't really give a conclusion to that story, but I'm assuming as soon as the monk realized that she's not a human, the monk probably reacted in a negative way or something like that. Or no, maybe not. Maybe since the monk was just human, he probably, by the end of it, he just died and passed away while she's still alive. Maybe something like that happened. I don't know. They kept it kind of open-ended at that way. It can be either thing. It can be that the monk got scared and ran away or something and left her alone, and she's all alone then, or that the monk, like, reacted positively, and then by the end of it he ended up dying because of old age and she kept on living. It can be either that. I'm not sure which one it is, but they kept it kind of open ended. I don't know if they're going to tell us in the future what exactly happened. Okay. Yeah, and there you go. So that makes sense as well. Why when Lawrence asked her that question, she was like, "Yeah, that has happened, a lot of times." You know what? Wait a minute. Let me go back to that scene just a second. Okay, she was originally a bird much bigger than you. One day she fell in love with a traveling monk and spent many years creating a church with him. Monk grew suspicious because the young girl never aged. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. Yeah, so I don't know. Like the way this story goes, it makes me think something bad happened. Probably after realizing that she's not a human, maybe he reacted negatively or something. And I'm guessing, I'm not really sure. Another thing that makes me think of something is like when Lawrence asks, like, then pagan gods and, like, humans can get married, and she's like, yeah, that has happened a lot amount of times. Where is that part? Okay, here we go. So yeah, the question when Lawrence asked, may I ask a question? Feel free. Are there any stories of pagan gods and humans becoming a couple? Her answer, she says, yes, there are many. Now, that makes me think maybe she also got married to the monk? I don't know. Why would she say that otherwise? She said, like, yes, many times. But then in the end of that story, where Hollow said that, oh, like, the monk got suspicious, and you must know what happened after that, don't you? Can guess. Makes me think that it ended in a negative way. So I'm not really sure what happened. Like, so I'm assuming they got married, and then after marriage the monk got suspicious as he kept growing older, while she wasn't growing old, and then he got to know what was happening, and then something bad happened. He left her or something like that. I don't know. I'm not really clear with this story because they kept it in an open-ended way in the end. They don't really explain it properly, but I'm assuming something like that happened. And I'm also assuming that she probably got married. That's why she said, like, yes. Otherwise, I don't think she would have said yes. When Lawrence asked that if pagan gods and humans can get married, she wouldn't have said yes like that. She said yes, and it seemed like something she said from, like, personal experience. So I'm guessing maybe she was also married to him, but then it ended in a negative way, and you know something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Right, and there you go. That is what happened. By the end, everything has resolved itself, thankfully, and now the journey continues. And now Lawrence and Hollow has a better understanding of each other. Um, right. Yeah, and that was this episode. Really good episode. Yeah, fantastic. Now, let me talk about this episode scene by scene. Like, I've discussed most of the things. The basic core of this episode was, like, selling at the perfect time and understanding Hollow's signals. That was two was the most important things. And it worked perfectly. So at the beginning, you can see in the marketplace, people are buying more and more, and the price is increasing more and more and more. So you can see the first part, Hollow, like, Lawrence looks at Hollow and sees that Hollow's at a distance. So he looks at Hollow, and you can see Hollow, yeah, touches the feather, looks at him, moves away. That was a signal. So obviously Lawrence didn't understand what was happening here. People are still buying, and then Yeah, and then we get to see that kid ask Lawrence's friend that, what will happen if the price keeps increasing, and in the end he says like, oh, if that keeps increasing, he's probably going to sell at the appropriate time and gather the remaining 40 coins, and then he'll win the whole thing. That's what he's trying to do, and that is why he needs to sell, before, he says he'll do it before the poison from the sale on credit takes effect. And this poison, he kind of elaborates it later on what this poison is. And obviously it is a poison, as he said. It's a paper with, like, it's a, like, it's a, like, the price can increase and decrease. So according to the timing when he sells it, it'll depend, the value of it will depend on that. If he keeps the contract up until the very end, just like a slow acting poison, it'll take effect at a later time and it'll completely destroy him. So, which obviously, in a, I guess you could say, in a symbolic and a metaphorical way, if he keeps the contract long enough, the price will drop so much by the end that the contract will just become a paper. It literally won't be worth anything. That is the poison he was talking about. So anyone who has a contract by the end of it is the person who loses, because technically he doesn't have the money. He has a contract, so he don't have the money. Having money is like, money has like a fixed value, obviously, that whole thing. So money, if he had the money, then it's all well and good, but it's a contract, so that's what he was selling here and telling here, and that's why he called it a poison. And he said that he'd have to do it before the poison from the sale on credit takes effect. Yeah, and there you go, and there more people are buying. Miss Diana's person is still not here, representative is still not here. And you can see here Lawrence is like, if Hollow's been there with him, then she must have given him a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Obviously, he's thinking like Hollow's like helping out Amati, but that wasn't the case. And that was what Hollow was signaling, but he completely saw it and misunderstood it. Yeah, so okay, and then while all of this is happening, again the kid asks Lawrence's friend a question. He says like, if Mr. Lawrence, if Amati wins, even if Amati wins, won't Mr. Lawrence make a lot of money? And he's like, yeah, but he'll lose something that cannot be bought with money. So in that sense, it'll be a huge loss. Okay, so this is where Lawrence starts thinking like, who's the person who, like made like bought the pyrite from Diana? He's trying to think of what it is. And again, he's thinking if it's Amati, the one who made the, like the deal with Diana. And while all this is happening, the price keeps increasing. Then he notices Amati is trying to find Hollow. Okay, so someone sold, price went a little bit down. Lawrence hurries and he's like, oh, let me see. A little bit lower it went, but then it just bounces back again because someone else buys. There you go, so it won't work like that. Okay, so then finally someone came to the stall. The kid comes in and says like, someone came to our stall wanting to buy wheat with stones. Obviously Lawrence is like, immediately go and do that, because obviously Lawrence needs like the pyrite. Now he needs all the pyrite that he could get in this point of time. So it's like, do it immediately. And he gives him the money, as much as you can do quickly. So he's like running to do that. Okay, so okay, this is where like the explanation comes in. Lawrence's friend said Amati bought 500 coins worth of pyrite from Lawrence, but he has a contract instead of the actual product. Like I said, it's a paper. This it's not the product. So he'll be delivering the actual product tomorrow evening. Yeah, so the price is still tangible. It can go up, down, up, down. That can happen. So the price is not fixed. That is why he called it a poison, because by the end of it, based on how this is going to go, the amount of pyrite, the money that it'll be worth by the end of it will depend. Do you understand what that means? He'll be able to sell the contract if the price seems to be rising, yeah? But not if it's dropping. True. Exactly. That is right. No one wants to hold on to something that dangerous, yeah, because if it keeps dropping, then that is poison, If the price drops back down to normal, the contract he bought for 500 silver becomes a worthless piece of paper. Because yeah, he bought it at the time when the price was high, and if it goes back to normal price, then that's loss. Basically, it's worthless piece of paper, as he said. Like, he won't be making any money out of it. The final person with the contract will go bankrupt. Yeah, that is right. That is why being sold on credit is so poisonous. Right. Okay, so this is where you can see Lawrence is like panicking, and Lawrence is like, oh no, Diana's men are still not here. There's a small amount of buyers right now. If I have to sell it, I have to sell it now to at least. And like I said, if it kept increasing, I feel like Amati would have reached that coin limit. So he had to sell it now, otherwise he would have won it. He goes and sells the amount that he has, and the price drops quite a bit, and then it goes back up again. He didn't sell enough. So more buyers come in. Like I said, the people who are waiting for it to go a little bit down so that they can buy, they start buying now. Yeah. And he goes back to him to find Diana's people. Nobody's here. Thankfully, Lant comes in with the money, not money, but the pyrite that he sold. And he's like, okay, now that I have this pyrite, I need to wait for Diana's representative. If I sell this again now, it won't work. It'll make a little bit dip in the value and more people will buy and going to go back up. I'll need to wait. Yeah. So this is where Lant is like, is that person even coming? So he's like, yeah, like, I'm gambling, I don't know what to do. So he's like, okay, he sold it, so the price has dropped a little bit. So he's like, you know what, let me sell this. If I can sell this before someone buys, then it'll drop even more, and that's what's going to happen. But that goes wrong, because before he's able to sell it, some more buyers come in, the price goes back up again. So it's again, it has equalized. So now selling it won't be worth. So he had to sell it immediately for it to go a little bit more down, so that he could crash the market at least a little bit. But it didn't work. He lost his timing here, and there you go. It went back up. So now he has to wait, because if he sells this now, it won't do anything. You have to wait for Diana's representative to come. So he keeps waiting. Yeah, now I have to wait for Miss Diana's representative. Okay, so this is where Lawrence sees Hollow talking to Amati, and Hollow says this later on. This is where she eggs on Amati to sell, kind of convinces him to sell. Lawrence thought they're trying to make him slip up. That's why this was a ploy to do that. So he didn't realize that, that was the plan, and the plan that Hollow was hatching was for him to sell at the same time and make the market crash. He didn't realize that. Here we go. He says there's no mistake. Amati has realized the danger of being sold on credit. Yeah, and he just leaves. He's trying to find Diana's representative. And then Diana's representative comes in, and she's like, I have a message from Miss Diana. And she's like, I'm sorry, the negotiation failed. We cannot get the amount. Yeah, so this is where Lawrence is like, it's all over, nothing we can do about it. He's like, you know what? At least I made money out of it. He's like given up. He tries to give a little bit of money to Lant, but Lant is like, stop. Why are you giving up? Your friend, are you giving up? Master always told me that merchants should never give up easily. Yeah, the god of money doesn't come to those who pray, but to those who don't give up easily. There you go. And then he says, like, like from the first day I liked Hollow, but Master told me not to say that in front of you, otherwise, like, you'll fight me or something. And he's like, but no, I'm going to say it now. And Lawrence, then in the end, Lawrence is like, you're right, I need to get a beating. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot the fact that people who don't give up easily are all unbelievably wishful thinkers. And I forgot that I'm one of them. And this is where he says, like merchants, since they're always doing merchant stuff, they always think of things in a more business perspective. Like, oh, if I sell this, this is going to happen. If I buy this, this is going to happen. Keep making hypothesis after hypothesis, thinking about what will happen if this happens. Obviously, those are at the end of the day all hypotheses. It might not come true, but that's what business, that's what being a merchant is. You have to plan ahead like this. It's like chess. So that is why you always need that one guidepost who's there, who makes you understand and who makes you, just stop and, if you go too much into that territory, stop and drag you back down, and make you stabilize. You need someone like that. And if it's a trustworthy guidepost, then that is someone you should never let go. And obviously in this situation, that is Hollow, and that is why he's like, you know what? I'm going to not look at it in a business perspective. I'm just going to have faith. And he looks at Hollow, and then he sees that Hollow's like signaling like this, and that is when it strikes him. When he, instead of looking at it through a business perspective, when he looks at it through faith, he looks at Hollow and he realizes what she's doing. So he goes and he's like, I want to sell this. Immediately, Hollow comes in and puts a bigger amount beside him. And she's like, I'm also selling this. And there you go. So that little amount of Lawrence that he was selling wouldn't have made any difference. It would have went down a little bit, and then more people would buy, go back up again. As soon as he did that, when Hollow put a bigger amount beside that, then only the dent in price went so much that now people will have second thoughts about buying now, because they're now like, I need to sell because I need to go back to wheat again. And and Lunt is spreading the rumor of wheat prices going up, so people are even more agitated now, and they started to sell after this immediately. I love how first thing Hollow says is like, fool, because it took him so long to understand. And he's like, I'm sorry. Unlike someone else I know, she was a mature and beautiful lady, right? Let's talk about Diana. And it's like punches him and she grabs his hand. Her hand. Yeah, there you go. And there you go. Like I said, once this snowball starts falling, some person probably thought that, God damn, it went so low. Let me sell. Sold. Some other person seeing himself started selling as well, and the snowball effect. Yeah. And you can see, like, Amati has lost the bet. In the end, Lawrence says, the Amati didn't really lose too much financially, but the punch that he got was like psychologically, and there you go. I love this guy who was like the mediator or the judge or something. He was like, you shouldn't have tried to take another person's woman. Bruh. And Marty's like, okay, now Hollow's like pretty angry. Hollow's like, like I wanted to completely destroy him. Yeah, and she's like, if you heard what he said, then you'd think the same as well. Lawrence is like, what did he say? And she's like, oh, don't ask me what he spoke. He's like, okay, fine, that's probably for the best. I don't know what he said, what Amati said. I'm assuming maybe something related to Lawrence or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure what he said. Anyways, but we know Amati's personality, so, I could imagine. And this is where Hollow's like, I'm sure you have something to say to me as well. Come on, say it. And he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, both the hands up. He's like, I'm sorry. you know, do you know what you should be sorry for? And he's like, yeah, I do. Okay, and then, then he says, at least I think I saw, you know. Okay, so Lawrence says like my contract with Mr. Amati was a complete ego trip, right? Which is true because I myself said at the very beginning, I was like, what is the point? Like why are you even doing this? Like, there's no need to take the challenge. Like I myself found it very weird at the beginning. I was like, there was no need for this. Like yeah, I can understand he has a lot of faith in Hollow and all that. I can understand that, but in the first place, there was no need for this. Like having faith in Hollow is all well and good. Like he said, like, oh, I have faith in you, that's why I did it. But that is not the point. The point here is why do this at the beginning? Because it was clearly a challenge where both parties agreed, then it will only happen. If Lawrence said that I don't want to do any of this crap, like just move on your way, like I'm going to move on my way, I don't want to do any challenges or any bets, the things would have been over then and there. This wouldn't have escalated like this. But he said like, okay, fine, there you go. So that is why he's saying my contract with Mr. Amati was a complete ego trip, which is true. Like there's no point in doing that whole challenge thing at all. It's completely unnecessary. And then he says, and the worst thing was I didn't completely trust you, as we see in the end. Yeah, you showed me the white feather to tell me that you were the one who brought the pirate from Miss Diana. I didn't even notice that. I didn't notice that Diana had so many white feathers there, which is true. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was a lot of white feathers there. And, that is why, again, that was a signal. But I don't know. I just thought that white feather was the feather which she had from the very beginning, and that is why, like, yeah. But anyways, in the end, it was pretty blatant when she was like doing this. It was pretty blatant that she's signaling. Even I understood back then, and Lawrence even understood. It was a signal to show that you're the one who bought Pyrite. You disappeared because you were getting the Pyrite from Miss Diana. That's why she disappeared there. That's why Amati was trying to find them. Yeah. However, I thought you laid a trap for me when Amati sold some of his stones. There you go. And I was like, what? She's like, explain. How do you think that was a trap? And this is what he was saying, like, it was my lack of faith in you. That is the second thing he's apologizing for. I thought you were trying to get me to play my hand. There you go. On top of that, if the price kept rising, I'd have to buy the pyrite I promised Amati at a higher price. I thought you had completely turned to Amati's side. And Hollow's pissed. But I was wrong. You instigated Amati, who isn't used to this kind of trade, to sell some. Yeah, that's why you can see there's a section where she's talking to him. And then they sell. She's trying to convince him. And you were trying to tell me that Amati had enough stock, so I should hurry up and sell, right? Yeah. And then since he sold that is why he wasn't able to get the amount, because the price dropped a little. I think so. And she's like, goodness. Even before that, you sent over the contract you signed that Amati prepared. Now this one I understood. I myself mentioned this. I was like, yeah, she did this to make Lawrence take this seriously. The contract you signed that Amati prepared, that make me upset enough to take action. And also, like I said, I also think it was a way to, like make Amati overconfident, and wasn't it? And she says, I was on the second floor at that time. So she was there. I remember, like, she was like looking outside, and then she just goes in. And then when Lawrence comes in, there was he gets the contract. Now I think what Hollow was trying to say here is like Hollow was waiting for Lawrence to go up, I think, and probably talk to her. But if you remember, Lawrence seeing that, at first he was pretty happy. He was like, oh, oh, this is all, he kind of wrote down the amount of money and everything that, Amati has, wrote that down. But then when he saw the marriage contract, he decided to go and confront Amati. Hollow was actually waiting probably for Lawrence to come up to her and talk to her, and then Hollow probably would have told him everything and be like, "Oh, this is my plan. This is what I'm trying to do. This and that." But Lawrence never went there. Again, this is another way where you can see he didn't have faith in Lord Hollow. That is why instead of going to Hollow, he went to Amati to confront him. You know. So I think that's what Hollow was saying here. Hollow says like, back then I was here, and she doesn't complete the sentence. It's nothing. Here we go. She was probably going to say something like, I was waiting for you to come up and then I will talk to you. But that didn't happen because he left immediately. Right. So Lawrence says like, you told me in Rumenhagen I shouldn't try to play games and tell you how I truly feel. There you go. You told me problems are solved faster if you get angry and argue with another. We had our first misunderstanding when you got upset about the issue with Yoitsu. Apology you gave me at the end wasn't because you were disappointed with me, but it was because you were sorry for your own behavior. There you go. That's what he says here. I thought you were rejecting me, but you were actually said that because you returned to your senses. Yeah, so that wasn't, I'm sorry, wasn't like rejecting him. It was her generally apologizing for reacting like that. Because like I said, at that scene, at that episode, I also said that, yeah, like Lawrence Hollow probably overreacted over there, and that was probably that apology. That wasn't her rejecting him. That was pretty obvious. Lawrence didn't understand that at that heat of the moment. It didn't properly register in his head. And again, like Hollow said, Lawrence said, I didn't have that faith in you. I didn't believe you because he always sees everything in a business perspective. But now that changed. Okay. This is what they mean when they say that thinking of a fool is a waste of time. You ruined all my efforts. If that was not enough, you thought I sided with the enemy? You were so obsessed with the contract, you signed with that contract? Signed with that youngster? It is true that I met you recently, but I believe we formed a bond that was far from shallow. Was I wrong? And then this is where Lawrence says like, I'm sorry, I'm kind of slow in these type of situations, but this I can genuinely tell you, I want to continue traveling with you. Yeah, so she asks here like, who am I to you? I asked this question before, and this is where he says, I cannot really explain it. Like I said, he could just say that, oh, I like you or something, but it would have done, I guess you could say, that's not all. Lawrence and Hall's connection is way more than just I like you and I like you too. It's just something like, it's way more than that. I've spent my entire life doing business and I don't plan on changing that. That's why I'm stupid when it comes to everything else. Even so, I want to travel with you. And then a little banter. She's like, oh, what type of salty response is that? And he's like, oh, but you like beef with salt. And she's like, I hate it. And then she bites him. Okay, now, like I said, this part, I need to understand this. Lawrence asked her the question that I also have. He says, how were you able to convince Miss Diana to sell you the pyrite? Here you go. So she doesn't really answer this question. She says, okay, I was able to figure out your plan from what that youngster told me. Yeah. I'm impressed you were able to think of something like that. You deserve my praise. Because yeah, that was a truly good plan. Like, when I said in that episode, I was like, yeah, this is actually a good plan. And Diana, I visited her for a different reason. Now, this part, she said that I found her location from the scent, obviously, that whole thing. I could hardly stand such a powerful smell of sulfur. I told her this. I invent a story that Yoitsu may still exist somewhere and tell that story to you. Because if you remember, Hollow, wanted a reason, or at least, she was very insecure at that time, and obviously because of Lawrence's actions. So she wanted to, wanted to make her say that, oh, yours is still there, so that Lawrence would get a reason to continue the journey along with her, and she wanted that to happen. Now, you know what is interesting here? I think the reason why Diana refused here is because Diana didn't want her making the same mistake that she did. If you remember, as far as I could understand, Diana's mistake was not telling the monk that she fell in love with the truth about her real identity. And that's why in the end, when they explained the story and they kind of left it in an open-ended way, I think, something bad happened and probably the monk left her or something. So Diana probably regrets that. She probably regrets of her, the fact that she never was clear and truthful with him from the beginning. Maybe something would have changed, or maybe it wouldn't. But still, it would have been better to be truthful from the very beginning. Here, what was happening was the same thing, a repeat of that in front of her eyes. Hollow came here telling her to tell a lie to Lawrence so that they can continue the journey. But that would be a journey built on a lie, which is the same thing that happened with her as well. She knows how it ends. It doesn't end well. That's why she didn't want Hollow to make the same mistake. That is why she said, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say a lie. If you have to do something, be open about it. Be truthful about it. Only then, something built from that can prosper. Something built from a lie can never prosper. I don't know. This is just something that I think, and I think that is why Diana rejected this. She said, no, I'm not going to say any lies here, because she didn't want Hollow going down the same path that she did. Yeah. So, but that young girl refused my request. Yeah. Is that so? Goodness. It was embarrassing, but I told her the situation and almost convinced her. But then Lawrence comes in, and she was still there. And this is what Diana told her that stay there and try to confirm Lawrence's feelings for you. Confirm that, and then Lawrence comes in. The young girl thought of an unnecessary plan. She told me I should confirm the depth of your resolve, and that's why she was there listening to everything. She says if she knew everything about me. Again, I feel like she could relate to her. That is why she said this, and that's why she prevented her from making the same mistake that she did by telling a lie or hiding the truth. And then when Lawrence left, she said good luck. That is why, yeah. So Diana probably sees her and the monk's situation in Lawrence and Hollow. That's why she generally wants them to properly express themselves with each other and not keep anything hidden and be more truthful with each other, so that it doesn't go down the same way that her story went to. It's why Hollow's like, I heard your foolish question clearly with my ears. That question where if pagan gods can get married. And she said yeah, it happened. There are many. And that is also the reason why I think that she probably was also married to that monk. Otherwise, why would she say this? She said yes. So she herself was probably married, but she lied to him, didn't give him the truth that she was this mystical creature, this this pagan god or something, I think. And this bird. So that is why in the end it went in a wrong way and it ended badly. It seems there are many stories about gods and humans becoming a couple. I don't mind if you wish that. She's kind of she's just kidding. I cannot get in the mood after talking to that young girl. Okay, so she doesn't really answer the question. The question was that how did you convince her? Did that convince her to sell it to her? Maybe the fact that the situation is so much. Yeah, okay, so she doesn't really answer the question. I'm guessing that probably that was all that was needed to convince her. At least this situation, since it was so similar to, I'm guessing, her and the monk's story, she decided to help her out without any compensation or something. Did you realize the young girl is not human? This is where she says, a lot of feathers scattered in her room. Those are hers. So she's a bird. She's originally a bird much bigger than you. Interesting. So she's like a, I don't know. It's like white feathers. So, one day she fell in love with a traveling monk. Spent many years creating a church with him. Monk grew suspicious because the young girl never aged. Yeah, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. There you go. Yeah, it ended in a bad way, I'm assuming. And yeah, like, you know what, I'm convinced now, like, it ended in a bad way. That is why, like, she didn't want to say that lie and make Hollow walk the same path as her. Yeah. And here Hollow says, I wish to go back to the hometown even if it is no longer there. And Lawrence is like, yes, and I want to journey along with you. And then the festival starts. They're like burning that thing, and Hollow's like, oh, you humans do some foolish things, don't you? And she says, like, I do not mind burning passionately like that straw figure. No, she says, like, should we dance? Yeah, and that is when she says, we should join them. Good idea. I do not mind burning passionately like the straw figure. I'm trying to figure something out. I think like that symbolism in the end was basically like a symbolism for this. Like, she says, I don't mind burning this passionately for you. Yeah, that might work out if some alcohol gets involved. Who will care for me if you get drunk? You fool. Okay. Then they go ahead, and like I said, the symbolism here, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming the one splinter of wood burning is representative of Hollow. As she said, she's burning passionately. She doesn't mind burning this passionately. And the other one is Lawrence, who's calm. That is also why Hollow said, like, when Lawrence said, like, oh, if you drink a little bit, then everything will be fine. And then she's like, oh, then who's going to take care of me, you idiot? Like, let me, like, I'm only going to be the one who's going to do the drinking and that whole thing. So that this is a symbolism of that. I think, like, the burning splinter is Hollow, while the one that is not burning is Lawrence. And that kind of shows how Lawrence, like, she's the one burning passionately, and she made Lawrence, like, be the, I guess you could say, like, the person who brings her back or something like that. In a sense, I guess, at the grand scheme of things, if you think about it, this has always been that. Lawrence also said this before, that Hollow is his guidepost. So when he goes overboard, she will be the one to drag him back down. So just like that here, when Lawrence is like, Hollow's like, if I go, like, overboard, and if I get extremely drunk, you'll be the one to bring me back. So, it's like a contrast. When someone goes overboard, the other person brings her back, him or her back. It's not only Hollow being the one who's bringing Lawrence back, but it might become vice versa as well. If in the future Hollow falls into a situation like this, Lawrence needs to be the one to bring her back. So I think this is that symbolism. It's not necessarily Hollow's the guidepost. Maybe in the future Lawrence will be the guidepost that brings Hollow back from a difficult situation like this. That is why one of the splinter is not burning and the other one is burning, or something like that. I don't know, this is just something I made up. At least that's by, like, thinking about it logically, that's what I understood or came up with in the ending symbolism. That I might be completely wrong. If I am, and if you know what it is, let me know in the comments. And that is it. That was the final episode of this arc. New arc will be starting from next episode, I'm assuming. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That was great. Yeah, so that was fantastic. So thanks for watching. This was my reaction to episode number 18? Yeah, no, 19 of Spice and Wolf. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to press the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, or you haven't subscribed. Comment down below anything you want to say, anything you want to let me know. I'll check them out. That is it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week with another episode of Spice and Wolf. Until then, goodbye and have a nice day.